I defy any Democrat to ridicule this deal. They all complained about NAFTA. Oh, nobody was going to buy our soybeans, and all these people and farmers were going to be driving Ubers. Yeah, I got all that, right? But what did he do? He forced Mexico to come to the table. Why? Because we have a $70 billion trade deficit with them. And by the way, when NAFTA started, we had a $1.6 billion trade surplus with Mexico. A quarter century later, we have a $70 billion trade deficit. U.S. as a whole, when NAFTA started, we had a $100 billion trade deficit. Now, 25 years later, $800 billion. We hold all the cards. We're sending the cash out. We got the consumers. All the president says is, look, I want fair trade. I want strategic trade. I want to get our jobs back. We're done outsourcing jobs to cheap labor. You got to play by the rules. We all got to be on the same playing field or you're out. And then you don't have access to our consumer because I'm going to dump tariffs on you. And when he put the tariffs on, it forced Mexico to the table. So all the Democrats, gloom and doom, and Cato Institute, if you listen to the Cato Institute or the Heritage Foundation with their white papers, all funded by Wall Street, Goldman Sachs, and the gangster banksters up there who have been ripping you off for 40 years and caused the crisis, they get all their money. You would have thought the Cato Institute, when Trump was canceling NAFTA, you would have thought the moon was going to split in half and crash into the earth. And now he gets it done. This is like a great day for American workers and factories and manufacturing and fairness and America first. I defy any Democrat to come on and say, well, it's a bad deal because we don't want to pay our workers too much money here in America. We'd rather outsource the jobs to, I don't know, Bangladesh or something. Nuts. Craziness. Joining us now to sort this all out, Denver Riggleman. He knows a little about making things. He owns a distillery. He also shot terrorist, makes whiskey. This is the kind of guy we need in Congress, I'll tell you that. He's running as Republican in the 5th District, and that's an open seat from the retiring Tom Garrett. And he'll be taking on Leslie Cockburn in November 6th. We have Denver as a solid favorite there. Denver, Riggleman, great to have you.
Good morning.
I'm fired up today, Denver. Can you tell?
I can tell you're fired up today. But you know the sad thing, you're not going to see that trade deal sort of prominent in the news this morning, are you, John? It's going to be other things, isn't it?
You know, it's maddening, Denver. I mean, this should be the front page of the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, CNN. This is a great thing that just happened for American workers, for American manufacturers, for people that want to build things and make things. This is a great day, and yet it's going to be buried. They'll criticize it, and the front page, I'm sure, is going to be Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, Rick Gates, or something else.
Yeah, and you know, to renegotiate NAFTA, you know, I'm in the 5th District, and to go down the south side and to start spreading the word that things are changing is going to be huge, because from north to south, if you look at the north part of the district, John, you know, 2.5% unemployment, median family income in Fauquier County is over $91,000 per year. You go down to Mecklenburg or Lunenburg County or Brunswick County, you're looking at median family income of $31,000 to $38,000 per year. And you're also looking at unemployment that's double and underemployment that might be triple. And I think when they hear that the president is trying to support them and bring manufacturing back, you're going to see a lot of excitement in the 5th District.
Tell me about that specifically, Denver, because I know that one of the things you've done, and certainly your opponent, Leslie, had done this too, but you're out, I know, to all corners of the district, and it's a huge district. I mean, it's bigger than New Jersey. It's the
21 counties.
Yeah, it's very huge. Tell me what your constituents have been saying. Just give me some feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are people saying?
There's a few things that they've touched on, and I guess, you know what's amazing, John, is when you get out into the district and talk to people, you get ground truth, right? There's, you know, I think 7%, you know, I don't know if this is exactly correct in the statistic, but 7% of the district in the 5th and South Side watch cable television, right? Nobody knows what Facebook is. Nobody knows what Twitter is. They just don't care. So what they say is this: trade policies have destroyed, you know, manufacturing and agriculture. They're always, you know, sort of, you see this almost desperation, you know, to have something good go for them down in Southside. And so there's such a difference in our district from the top to the bottom. when you talk north to south, that you start to really feel for those who maybe haven't been part of the Trump economic wave. And you also see that they want to be a part of it. They don't want handouts. They don't want anything like that. They just want a level playing field. They want a fair playing field, and they want to do the type of things that they were born to do, and that's dairy farmers, fruit pickers, all the way down to, gosh, you're talking about tobacco farmers. And the one thing that I think that's been really surprising to me, John, is the immigration issue. And the fact is that almost every farmer I've talked to, actually every farmer I've talked to, has asked that we expedite the H-2A process or to pass H-2C. Based on the labor shortages in Southside. So it's pretty interesting, John, when you talk about the need for infrastructure, their need for a more efficient migration, legal migration system, right? And also the fact that the tax cuts are what actually is sort of saving them right now as they struggle through, trying to provide for their families.
How do you win this race?
By being honest, by being truthful, by being transparent, by presenting solutions instead of hyperbole, by talking to the logic of policies rather than emotional attacks, this anti-Trump, just ridiculous progressive attacks that have nothing to do with actually what's going on in America. I think you go by presenting cogent ideas for people as you move forward based on my own background. And that background is business. That background is foreign policy. That background is military strategy. And what you see out there is people are saying, this guy, he's going to tell the truth regardless if it's the right thing that I want to hear or the wrong thing I want to hear. This guy is going to tell me the truth. And that, and plus hard work, and plus the fact that I am owned by no one, John. As you know, I'm the only person in the history of the world to spend $0 on a primary or on a convention. It just seems like I have an independent Republican voice right now that people want to hear. And that's how I win the race.
So to keep that independent voice, what happens is people come to the swamp, they talk a big game. I'm not saying you're going to do this, but just history. If you believe in history, history predicts the future. They get on my show, they talk a big game, they go to Washington, they get in the swamp, they start taking the money, the donors come in, the globalists, Goldman Sachs, Wall Street, they all come in, they all have an agenda, they start taking the corporate money, the energy, public energy utilities like Dominion come in, they all come in, right? And they all give money, and everybody takes it, and then everybody's on the take, right? I mean, that's basically the way. And I'm not saying that I'm not criticizing anybody else, but look, you're up here long enough, and you kind of know how the game works. And if you don't play the game, then you don't get the support, you don't get the money, the party's unhappy, and then when you leave, you don't get the plum lobbyist job in K Street. So if you don't do any of this, I mean, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to be able to retire like a millionaire like all these other people do.
Well, I got an advantage, don't I, John? I don't get to retire like a millionaire because I'm already okay. And what are they going to do? Send me back to Silverback, to the distillery? Are they going to send me back to protecting my brothers and sisters in arms in the Pentagon? What are they going to do to me? And, they could maybe just say, hey, Denver's not part of the game up here, and we're going to kick them out, and then I'm not really serving the 5th District very well. It really is a conundrum in that somehow I got to navigate a swamp, right, with a 10-horsepower motor, on a John boat. But I got to make sure I have a lot of big guns hidden in that John boat. And I think those big guns are staying independent and fighting for what the 5th needs no matter what. And that means I have to be incredibly active in the 5th District, with farmers, with businesses, and no matter what, carry their water, not my own water. And I think what you just said is that everybody starts drinking their own swamp water up here. And that's something I am not going to do. And I guess, John, I'm not saying to trust me or people have to trust me. They just have to see what I do my first 2 years. And it's going to be pretty interesting if I fight the system, right, and can't get anything done. Do I leave after 2 years? If I embrace the system, get some stuff done, and become a creature of the swamp and just an absolute hemorrhage of money, taxpayer money to other interests, am I going to last 2 years? Or do I somehow find a middle ground? And right now I'm leaning towards being that independent voice of reason and truth and hoping, and I know hope is not a viable course of action, but hoping people see that I'm not in this for money. I'm not in this for retirement. I'm in this to try to make the best deal based on constitutional principles for the 5th District. That is all I'm here for. And that's, if I keep my moral compass that way, I win the game regardless.
So you have to raise a lot of money to win. So you get the money, as you have to, from various corporate and globalist entities, whether it be, Wall Street firms or whatever. And then you get the money, you win, and you take it because, you have to run a campaign, right? Everybody gets it. Then they come into your office, they have a meeting, and they leverage you on legislation because they gave you a donation. And so obviously there's no quid pro quo, but, you have a meeting with them because they are a donor, and then they want things done. That's how this town works. So what are they going to do? Come in your office and you're going to say, I don't agree with that. Have a good day?
Yes. Simple. Yes. If it is not constitutionally sound, or it's graft, it's cronyism, it's picking winners and losers, it's any of that, I don't care how much money you give me. And if you don't give it to me next cycle, oh well. There has to come a time, I think, when somebody starts saying that, and some people who have been ostracized and cut out of the herd. You're right. I have to believe, based on my life experience, that I can do both, that I can do what's right and still be an effective congressman.
What do you think of this Mueller investigation as it stands now, Denver?
Well, I'm a rule of law guy. I think we need to do that, but I think at some point we have to look to see if this investigation is actually just some kind of witch hunt. How long is it going to last? And I have this sneaky feeling, because I'm starting to learn more and more about politics, that you're going to see an increase in press coverage, and you're going to see an increase in these type of criminal associations. And I put that in air quotes. I know you can't see them, John, because we're on the radio. But I'm going to put that a lot of this is aligned with the November 6th election. And I think that's what makes me a little bit sick about all this, is that all of this is aligned for the midterms, for the 2018 election. And I think that's what gets in my crawl, is that I'm seeing the very things that I despise, which is, political timing, for certain nefarious activities. And yeah, I'm just to a point I'm disgusted by it. And I think at this point we need to see the policies that are working in America, and especially in my district. Nobody gives a rat's about the Mueller investigation. They just don't care. We've done the polling. They care about jobs. They care about low taxes. They care about infrastructure, and they care about agriculture. That's what they care about. And they care about immigration. So these are the things they care about. They don't care about the Mueller investigation. They don't care about Manafort. They don't care about Cohen. All they care about is that there's policies, government stays out of their way, right, and they're given a level playing field. That's all they care about.
Let me ask you this, Denver. Leslie, you're talking about your opponent, Leslie Cockburn. I did read her book. I thought it was really well written. It was written in the 90s. I didn't find it to be anti-Semitic. I found it to be, her candid assessment of the Israeli relationship with the U.S. there, but I didn't think it was anti-Semitic. But 2 weeks ago, she said that she compared Trump to Joseph Stalin. I think Joseph Stalin murdered, 21 million of his own people, starved them in the Ukraine, assassinated all of his generals and second in command. And I think he's down with probably having murdered 21 million, I think, of his own people. Where's she going with this?
It's her argument. I don't know if you know this or not, John, but she also called ICE the new Gestapo. Mm-hmm. So I guess we have communist and fascist elements combined in our government now. But she gets confused easy. And I think what you have with Leslie is she really has no policy to run on. What, Medicare for all? How does that work? Really, that's your platform, is Medicare for our single government system, an inefficient government system. It's going to be ridiculous if you try to do something like that, or open borders. The things that are completely progressive, that are on the lines of the Pelosi's and the Ocasio-Cortez's. So she has to come out to be completely anti-Trump, and they have to use emotion when logic fails them. And you've seen she's done that with me, John, with attacks that are so ridiculous, so hyperbolic, so absolutely pathetic. Yeah. And it's why people like me get into politics, because they see these type of people that are running for office and know that somebody has to fight. And if it's somebody like me who despises politics, who hates the very notion of it, but knows we have to get involved, we have to do it. And somebody said something pretty incredible to me, John, and I think you'll like this. They said, if you're not at the dinner table, you're on the menu. So I think at some point, people who despise politics but love America have to get involved. And her only way of trying to get at me is to try to start using these type of lines about Trump being Stalin, the ICE being the Gestapo, and say, look, Denver Riggleman is for Stalin and he's for Hitler, and just ridiculous hyperbole based on lack of policy positions that make any sense.
Denver, I got to be honest with you. I think that's a pretty solid assessment. And I have a lot of respect for your opponent, Leslie Cockburn. I did read her book. You can't read that book and not come away that this is a very gifted writer who is a great researcher, who is very, very intelligent. So you kind of look at some of these things she's doing, and it's almost like, you're grasping at straws, throwing Hail Marys. I mean, we've all been there, right? I mean, you're down by 4 touchdowns. Your defense can't stop anybody, so you just start winging the ball and hoping for a flag.
Fake injuries, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't slow down the 2-minute off. You're faking injuries. You're holding your knee. It's like, or you're playing soccer and you're flailing and flopping on the pitch. It's what's happening out there, and I really thought that this would be a philosophical battle of ideas.
I did too.
How wrong was I? How wrong was I, John, when she came out with the stuff she came out with? Yeah. And I just, we sort of scratched at first and thought there's no way anybody's dumb enough to believe this stuff. But, of course, the far-left blogs picked it up, and now, my family's under character attack. Obviously, we turned it, and now she's being bombed by her very, hyperbole. But that's what happens, I guess, in this game. And I'm just really I'm disgusted by it.
Well, I tell you what, when the race started, I was hoping for much more of a highbrow focus on the issues, like what are Leslie's policies? You are different. You're a very different type of a Republican. Looked like she might be a little bit of a different type of a Democrat. So it looked like it might be a battle of ideas, and it's not really turned out on. I don't know what her campaign is doing, but look, I'm not going to tell her what to do. But I thought the race could have been a lot better than this, I guess. And for me in the media, you're looking for interesting stuff. Denver, we talked about money earlier, but money is an issue. Leslie's raised a lot of money. One of the knocks on you is that you can't raise money. How is your fundraising going?
I don't know. I guess $500,000 in 2.5 months isn't too bad. And, I'll say this. I mean, we're doing things with polling. We're doing things with digital ads. I'm actually, and I know this is crazy, I'm shooting commercials. I've been forced to wear makeup for the first time in my life. Mm-hmm. Which, it makes me look a little bit more bronzed. I'll tell you that, John. But we're doing very well on the fundraising front. And if you don't hear a lot of worry in my voice, it's because there's not a lot. I'll make the calls. It's a lot of hard work. It's hours on the phone every day. And, she has access to out-of-state monies that I don't. That's absolutely true. She has access to resources that I don't, but that doesn't mean I can't carry the fight to her by outworking her, and it hasn't been too hard to outwork her so far.
All right, Denver Riggleman, I want to thank you for joining us today. Great interview. Look, I want to come down to your farm, so we got to get that set up. And
we have got to get that set up, and that's on me just being stupidly busy. But I've already talked to my team, and they're actually excited for you to come down. I think we would have a lot of fun at the distillery.
Yeah, I'd like to come down. I'm going to try starting after Labor Day to go to all of the districts that are competitive and just get a feel for talking to some of the people, both in Virginia and in some of the key races in America. That's what makes us different, because you can sit here and talk to the echo chamber, or you can go out and you can talk to real people in real towns in America, and you get a very different view than what you get here in Washington, D.C. Denver Riggleman, thank you for being with us. Appreciate the time.
The pleasure as always.
What's your website?
It is denverforcongress.com, and Denver #4VA is our Twitter account.